beat the New England Patriots on Sunday and get to the AFC Championship game for the first time in franchise history. I'm going to tell you how they should do it, why it's possible, and we'll give you a little more bulletin board material if you're a Texans fan and you're in desperate need of that. Plus, I got to figure out who the hell I'm rooting for in this game. As someone who grew up a Patriots fan that's been covering the Texans for my entire adult life. I'm Paul Gallant, and this is the Gallant Says podcast on Friday. Gotta get down on Friday, January 16th, 2026. Hit it!
A radio show host in Seattle called Paul Gallant.
Paul Gallant's wondering the same things a lot of people wonder.
You are definitely living in the hindsight world today, Paul.
I was just kind of curious what Paul gets to see.
Grow up, mother. You kidding me?
Paul Gallant, what the hell is wrong with you?
Oi!
Oi!
Welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast live on YouTube, on Twitch, on X, on Instagram, on a little thing that we like to call Facebook. And on top of it all, it's also on TikTok. You can get it after the fact, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. I think the Texans are going to beat the Patriots on Sunday. I feel weird saying that. The Patriots have owned the Texans for my entire adult life. I have covered the Houston Texans playing in 2 playoff games against the Pats, and it didn't go so well. There was also a Letterman jacket game along the way that I witnessed in person. And sure, Texans have beaten the Patriots a couple of times. It's happened. But it hasn't happened in a game that matters. But things are different now. This is a new New England Patriots team. No Belichick, no Tom Brady. You got Mike Vrabel, and you got a guy in Drake May. I like Drake May a lot. I think he's better than C.J. Stroud right now. Bitch at me all you want about it. I'm right. Stroud is not playing very well. Drake May is looking like an MVP. May does not lack for confidence, which is something we'll touch on with C.J. Stroud in just a moment. That guy feels very comfortable chucking the ball downfield. He feels very comfortable hanging on to the football as long as he does. He is the 3rd most sacked quarterback in the National Football League this season. And he also feels pretty good about running the ball. He is a scrambler. And the Texans don't do so well against quarterbacks who can scramble. They're allowing, I think, 9 yards per scramble against quarterbacks this season. Here is how this opens things up potentially for the Texans to pull off an upset of New England. May is a little careless when it comes to protecting himself, and you can imagine that in a playoff game, he is going to give it his all to get every single yard he possibly can. I did think he did a pretty good job of taking care of himself against the Chargers last week, but this time around, do you think that a Texans defense that loves to get after the quarterback isn't thinking to themselves, we got to take this guy out of the game? And I'm not saying that they're going out there like they're Greg Williams or something like that. I'm not saying that they're saying this in the locker room.
You'll hit the body will die.
I'm not saying that. That's what's going on with DeMeco Ryans and with Matt Burke behind the scenes. But a guy like that, who runs like that, you got to punish him every single time that he takes off. Every single time. Put your shoulder into him and see what happens. Does he become a little gun shy if you hit him a few times when rushing after him? Does he become a little bit nervous about taking off and running if you put your shoulder into him, a la Azeez Al-Shaair into Trevor Lawrence? That's how you got to play this game. You got to go into it thinking to yourself, if he runs, he gets punished. Azeez, Jalen Petrie, Kamari Lassiter, the guys at the second level, when he slides, let him know what's up. Do the aircraft buzz or whatever the hell it's called? What do they do in Top Gun? They're flying by the aircraft carrier. You buzz the tower. Is that what it is? Buzz the tower. I'm not saying go Greg Williams and try to kill him. I'm not saying that.
You'll hit, the body will die.
I'm just saying buzz this guy whenever he takes off and runs. As far as CJ Stroud is concerned, he can't screw up in this game. And he's been doing a little bit of screwing up on the road against playoff caliber teams. He's coming off a game with 5 fumbles plus that awful red zone interception. Remember that one? I mean, that one was brutal. He looked like Stewart from Mad TV. Look what I could do. I don't know why he didn't throw the football by stepping into it, but he didn't. It looked bad, and that can't happen again. He can't fumble the ball. I don't know how you bobble 5 snap exchanges with Jake Andrews. Is it all on Jake Andrews? Maybe. But that can't happen either. And I imagine coming out of that game against the Steelers, Stroud's not feeling that confident. 7 of his 9 interceptions this season have come on the road against playoff teams. And since his return, 3 of his 4 interceptions and 5 of his 6 total turnovers have been on the road against playoff teams. Does he still have confidence in himself? I ask that after seeing an interview that Dolphins tight end Darren Waller did with Johnny Manziel. Anyone see this? It was really interesting to see. Let me pull it up for you if you're watching along on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook. This is Darren Waller. Pull up the specific time code. Talking about what wasn't happening with Tua after he joined the team.
This man throw darts every practice, bro. Like, it was just like, what the fuck am I watching? Like, I'd never seen the anticipation and the accuracy out there. So it's like, I think from my standpoint, the skill set for him is still there. Well, I think like maybe some of like the disconnect comes from like seeing it translate. I think there might be like there could be some like trauma still stored like in his body from like what he's gone through, like with the head injuries and stuff. Because there's this book called The Body Keeps the Score, which is like the #1 book about like trauma. And they talk about how trauma was first with like war veterans and like what they went through there. And like they'll come home and they'll see like a car sitting by itself in a grocery store parking lot, but they're in their body and their brain will tell them like that car has an explosive in it when it's just like a car sitting at fucking Publix or something. And so I think like in what like I can notice him like trying to make things happen like in the game, like he's trying to pull the trigger, but it's almost like his body and like his system won't
allow him to do it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like if there's a way for him to find some healing in that regard, I think the skill set is definitely still there, like you said.
Football is.
I did not expect that level of insight from a guy who stopped playing in the NFL to pursue a rap career. True story. Or somebody who blew it with Kelsey Plum. But to what Waller is saying there, Tua looks great at practice. In the games, not so much. Stroud's been concussed a couple of times now, twice to the point where it cost him games this year and a couple of years ago after suffering one against the New York Jets. Does that add up? I would imagine it does to a degree. I don't think Stroud suffered the same kind of concussions that Tua has, but there's been other moments in games where I've wondered if Stroud was dinged up. His rookie year against the Broncos, his rookie year against the Cardinals too. Moments in those games where I was like, what's going on? So maybe that is getting in the way of CJ Stroud being fully confident. And he's going to need to be confident on Sunday. Now, one of the best games he had this season was without Nico Collins against the San Francisco 49ers earlier in the year. He played great. I think that's one of the 2 best games he's played this season. But I think at the same time, when you're going up against a Patriots defense that has some pretty good players in the secondary. Christian Gonzalez is a really good corner. You've got Marcus Jones, Cougs legend in the slot, who is also really good at sticking with his guys and also making plays. This is an elite returner, whether it's on a punt or a kickoff or an interception. He has to be confident, but if he's throwing it into tight windows against guys like that, and he's also thinking to himself, man, I can't even really take off and run anymore. I might get dinged up. Is he going to be able to do what is necessary to win? And the main thing is don't screw up, which he has done a lot on the road. Don't screw up. Let the defense take care of business. Let the defense smother and smash Drake May as much as possible. And when you need to make plays, make plays. Death by 1,000 cuts. No shot plays. No splashes. Do what Nick Caley's telling you to do. Trust the offense as best you can, even with that receiver, with Nico Collins out, and with a couple of rookie guys likely getting major playing time in Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll. But Xavier Hutchinson, Christian Kirk, they're going to have to step up. CJ Stroud on Wednesday during his press conference was asked about having confidence while playing in tough environments by Kim Davis of Chalk Talk. Here he is, CJ Stroud, talking about feeling confident playing on the road in front of a tough crowd.
We've had a couple tough away games this year that, we've had to go into harsh environments with, a lot of passionate fans that say a lot of crazy things and do a lot of crazy stuff. So, I think last week was a good test for us, and I think, being able to get past that with a dub, this next week's going to be the same type of environment, loud. Northeast is always, hectic and rowdy. So, they have a great fan base, loyal fan base. So, we'll be able to try to weather that storm and just focus on what we need to focus on, play in and play out.
I'll say this about Foxborough Stadium / Gillette Stadium. I grew up going to Patriots games. Foxborough Stadium, the dump that they used to play in, it was a shithole. That place was a rollicking atmosphere. It was loud. Gillette Stadium, the new stadium, at moments can feel energized, but the way the stadium's built doesn't really trap the sound in. Maybe things are better since last I've been there. I haven't been to a game since the Letterman Jacket game at Gillette. But I felt like when all the winning started happening, it became more of a wine and cheese crowd. And sure, from time to time, they would get into the game, but it's not like a Celtics game or a Bruins game or a Red Sox game. And I think part of it's just due to the way that the stadium is designed. I think a lot of them were checked out the last couple of years. They will definitely be hungrier this time around because I think they perhaps have realized, oh, we took the good times for granted. I would have if I were still up there. So how much of a difficult environment is this going to be for CJ Stroud? It'll be more difficult than most. It'll be more difficult than the places that they play in the AFC South. But it's not on Pittsburgh's level. It's not on Denver's level. It's not on Buffalo's level. And I think most Patriots fans who have actually been there would admit that. It's Stroud's confidence. Where's it at? Here is Texans offensive coordinator Nick Caley at yesterday's press conference saying that he believes that Stroud's actually been pretty confident, all things considered, this year. Here is the former Patriots assistant coach when he met with the media yesterday.
Run game, and when you're, learning from him was awesome. It was a great opportunity. You get to, truly leave no stone unturned.
I think this is the wrong clip. Okay, well, we knew we were going to have some technical difficulties this time around, Third time the charm. Not exactly the most charming of the charms. here we go. This is a little bit later on in the press conference, and the time codes got screwed up. Here is Nick Caley talking about C.J. Stroud's confidence.
And I think he's, generally speaking, you look at the totality of the season, I've been very pleased with how he's handled. I've got a lot of confidence in him. He's taken care of the ball throughout the year and made strides in that area, and he'll continue to. He's very, cares a lot, works hard at those things, and I think you look at the rating and making plays as they come to him. So confident in him, got a lot of faith in him, and had a good week of practice. We just got to keep that going.
I don't entirely agree with the way Caley framed that. I don't think it's been that great from him. I don't think he's taking care of the ball as much as he needs to. And, this is going to be tough. Key to the Texans winning is beating the shit out of Drake May and C.J. Stroud having a little bit of confidence but not screwing up. And, by the way, I think both those things have a very good chance of happening on Sunday. I think the Texans should win this game. This defense is damn good, and I think it's going to give Drake May and that Patriots offense, which had a lot of issues moving the football against the Chargers, as many, if not more, issues. It's really a matter of what kind of plays is Drake May going to make with his legs? Is he going to get the occasional shot play downfield? The Texans from time to time do give up a shot play. And can the Patriots offense use the Texans' aggression against them? But I'm having a tough time seeing New England do that regularly. And this is someone who's watched a lot of New England this year. You take a look at what the Texans have issues-wise in the red zone. Patriots have the same problem. And from time to time, they look good running the football. And I think they've got some real talent at running back between Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. Still, their offensive line leaves a little bit to be desired. It's better than it was last year. The offensive line that was protecting Drake May against the Texans last season, where May had a couple of splashy moments, but it wasn't a very consistent effort until garbage time. Patriots fans got excited about that garbage time. It's better than it was last year, but, it still leaves a lot to be desired. You saw Will Campbell the other day, Patriots left tackle, who was getting asked about the Chargers beating up on him. And he basically said, listen, I don't give a shit what anyone says. I don't know, man. It sounded like he gave a shit. Just a little bit. Anyway. So there you go as far as what I think should happen. How do the Texans win? You beat the shit out of Drake May every opportunity that you get. And if you're C.J. Stroud, you got to have confidence. I have confidence and confidence alone. But you've still got to take care of things. We'll see what happens. All you people want disrespect. You're all obsessed with it. I talked about this earlier this week on the podcast. It's interesting how much you guys are looking for disrespect from the other team. I feel like I see it all the time. I guess we are not streaming on X for whatever reason, which is a bummer. But this is a smorgasbord of bullshit that I put together, and it really blew up. I improv'd this. This is just straight slop. Ladies and gentlemen, the epitome of bad sports media in 2026.
Chargers were ranked the same as the Texans, and we're going to enjoy it just like we did last week.
This is an outrage. How dare Mike Vrabel come and talk about the Texans' defense like this? Just like the Chargers, the greatest defense since the Spartans at Thermopylae.
This is Sparta!
The disrespect he gave to a city that welcomed him in, other than the time that the guy stole 3 of his Super Bowl rings. You're gonna eat your words. Let me spit into my spittoon to show my disgust with Mike Vrabel. I think I spit on my keyboard there. And I did spit on my keyboard there. I did. This blew up. And it honestly makes me have very, very little faith in just the internet. Facebook, I posted this. And on Facebook, it says that I got 978 likes on this and 217 comments, 134,000 views. What? Because that is a very innocuous quote by Mike Vrabel. One that I dolled up a little bit. And by the way, Vrabel said that the Texans have the best defense in the league. So that's what it looked like on Facebook. Instagram was even crazier. So I posted this on Instagram, and right now it says I got 2,000 likes and 272 comments. Do I even want to go through all of the comments that were put on it? Probably not. This is just grade A slop. What I posted. You watched it. I improv that and then edited it all together to make it seem like Mike Vrabel said something awful about the Texans defense. What did he actually say there? I mean, I've lost a lot of faith in people that are consuming sports media based off of that. Now, I'm just going to lean into the slop because clearly it gets clicks and clearly it gets hits. So as I am once again being this character I've created, Tex Gallant, the person that people outside of Houston think that we are, I used to before I moved down here. This character, Tex Gallant, is going to give you some more bulletin board material courtesy of the New England Patriots. This is far more egregious than anything that we heard yesterday. First, this is what Patriots wide receiver Kayshon Boute had to say about the Texans defense. And let me throw a little ham on this. Okay? Just a little bit of ham. Hang on. 3, 2, 1. This is acting at its finest. I can't believe what Kayshon Boute had to say about the Houston Texans defense yesterday.
One of the toughest defenses that you've personally had to prepare for in the
NFL? I wouldn't say one of the toughest. You know, at the end of the day, we know we're gonna get man coverage. You got to beat it. It's that simple.
I wouldn't say they're one of the toughest defenses in the National Football League. What the fuck are you on, Kayshon Boute? So that's one clip. And you got another one from Kayshon Boute, who isn't giving the Texans defense their flowers, but also isn't saying anything that bad about them. But I guarantee you, if I turn this into the same kind of slot post that I did yesterday, it's going to give me insane numbers. And fuck it, I'm just embracing the insane numbers at this moment in time. It's all about numbers. It's not about quality of content. It's about putting bullshit slop out there that people are going to get mad about. So I will continue to rage bait. Here's what Kayshon Boute had to say about Texans cornerbacks. Now let me turn the act back on. Get back into Tex Gallant character. And then on top of that, this Boute butthead fella said that the Texans corners aren't that good.
I think they're just physical cornerbacks, but I mean, at the end of the day, I'm physical too. So I mean, that's a matchup I like every day of the week. So
that's a matchup I like every day of the week. Kayshon Boute, do you like to find yourself in an arena with 7 to 8 chupacabras? That's the way you talking about, and that's what this Texans secondary is. What else do we have? I mean, we could keep doing this because I got some more. Here's some more bulletin board material from the New England Patriots. And this time, it's from Mike Vrabel, who's not giving DeMeco Ryans his flowers, per se. Here is the head coach of the New England Patriots when asked about the head coach on the other sideline, specifically DeMeco Ryans. And we're going to put that.
Playing as well as he did as a rookie, what did you notice your last year at Tennessee about what DeMeco was doing to turn that program around so quickly?
I mean, they got a lot of draft picks, and they signed some good free agents.
Hey, Mike Vrabel, you were asked about how DeMeco Ryans is doing as a head coach, turning things around. And all you got to say is that they made some good signings and got some draft picks. You're giving all the credit to Nick Caserio. What are you, some kind of racist? Giving all the credit to the Italian and not to the brother who's the head coach of this team? How dare you, Mike Vrabel? Give DeMeco Ryans his flowers. After all, did you not see what Mike Vrabel, all the compliments that DeMeco Ryans gave you at his press conference the other day? I mean, my God, he couldn't stop talking about you at the press conference the other day. Here is the Texans head coach talking about Michael Donquavius Vrabel at a press conference earlier this week. And I muted it, so I'm going to unmute it because I don't, this technology, it's so confusing to me.
Yep. Position. I think the thing that, for me, that helps you, in coaching is, as a linebacker, you're responsible for more than one thing. As a head coach, you have more than one thing on your plate all the time. When linebackers, of course, you have to step up and you have to play the run game. You have to know the front. You have to know run fits, which can be very intricate, and it changes a lot based on gap pulls, different schemes. So you have to be able to adjust and adapt on the fly in the run game, and also you're required to play in the passing game as well, which is a lot of different details depending on the calls and what you're running. Linebackers have to account for, covering receivers, covering running backs. You have to do it all. Same as a head coach, you're kind of in the middle of everything. You have to be able to do a lot of different things. You have to be able to be trustworthy, smart, accountable, and that's what the linebacker position requires. So Vrabel has done a great job of leading this team. He did a great job of leading the Titans when he was there. Really smart coach. His team is always well prepared. They always play physical. Right? So it's a tough challenge. He's done a good job there, having his team in the position they are in right now based on where they were last year. See his leadership. It's really taken an effect over that building, the entire team, and they play that way. So he's done an outstanding job right there. I have a ton of respect for Vrabel.
He talked about Mike Vrabel for a straight minute there. And Mike Vrabel, when asked about DeMeco Ryans, just says, couple of nice signings, couple of draft picks. What in the shit are you smoking, Mike Vrabel? Give your fellow linebacker a little bit of love. You still butthurt about the ass whooping that the Texans put on you with Case Keenum under center while you were cosplaying as Bum Phillips last year? How dare you give DeMeco Ryans no flowers when DeMeco spoke about you for a minute straight? You and Keyshawn Boute are a bunch of buttheads. And there you go. So we did it. We did it, everybody. We have given you more bulletin board material. You want some more bulletin board material for the Houston Texans, who I do think will beat the New England Patriots on Sunday? Anyone see this? Hear about this? Are the Houston Texans drug addicts? I can't believe what I saw from Texans player Jalen Petrie in the midst of a game a couple of weeks ago. Jalen Petrie, drug addict? This shocking footage is of Jalen Petrie in the midst of a game a couple of weeks ago. He's walking towards the sideline, holding something in his hand. What's that? Is he taking a bump of smelling salts? And he's just got it on his person at all times, and then he just throws it on the ground? What is this, The Wire? What are we doing here, Jalen Petrie? Sorry, I'm getting back into the accent mode. Sir, those are drugs. That is ammonia. Straight ammonia. Jonathan Alexander of the Houston Chronicle wrote an article about how the Texans love them some smelling salts. This is how Henry To'o couldn't find the plastic bag he was keeping in his locker. The Houston Texans linebacker promised a reporter smelling salts, but the bag of ammonia he stored in his locker was gone. It gives you that adrenaline kickstart, says To'o, locks you in before the drive. Either one of his teammates had gotten their hands on the salts, which is normal, or they had used them all after their 38-30 win over the Colts that week. That was normal too, wrote Alexander in this piece. Okay, so these guys are not just carrying smelling salts on them in the midst of a game. They're also stealing it from each other and then just throwing it on the middle of the fucking field of the game. I gotta say, great work by Jonathan Alexander in the Chronicle with this article. This is one of the wildest stories I've seen, and apparently this is happening across the NFL. It's estimated 70 to 80% of NFL players use smelling salts. 3/4 of players in this piece put together by Jonathan Alexander in the Chronicle said they have used them or currently use them. But Houston Texans, drug addicts? Smelling salts, an ammonia-based product classified as a drug by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, dates back to ancient times and have historically been used to revive a fainted person. But the legal substance has become especially popular over the years among NFL players who say the effects give them a brief jolt of energy and make them hyper-focused during games.
Barely even human. Killers at the core.
That's crazy. To be going science, and those guys like bitch and moan and complain about rules being broken all the time. Imagine if one of those coaches is talking to the referees on the field and says, hey, can you frisk these guys? Can you check them for smelling salts? I need you to pat this guy down. I need you to determine whether or not there are smelling salts out there. NFL teams used to have smelling salts readily available at their facilities for players and coaches to use. But in August, the league banned teams from distributing them, stating in a memo that the FDA warned companies that they were not proven to be safe and could mask concussion symptoms. Oh, so that's why guys are using it. What a surprise. Give Nico Collins some, huh? Multiple players were interviewed for this by Jonathan Alexander in the Chronicle. It's a great piece. I encourage you to read it. One of the reasons to subscribe to the Houston Chronicle, though a little expensive. Ariante Ursary says he once used them in college while preparing to max out in the squat. He poured the substance in a jar before shaking it up and taking a whiff of the aroma. Oh, yeah. As tears streamed down his face, he felt a rush. I don't know how much it costs. You've got to ask one of the rookies that, said EJ Speed when asked about it. Ask Elijah Huzzy. So there's a guy on the Texans. I've never heard of this guy, and I might be butchering his name. Elijah or Elia Huzzy. An undrafted rookie out of North Carolina was on the other end of the locker room, storing his gear in his locker after practice. He bought a pack of 100 to share between the defensive players who wanted them. An offensive rookie buys it for the offense. So a poor rookie has to buy all the smelling salts. I guess it costs $35. I looked to see if there were some smelling salts because I was going to take some smelling salts during today's show. It doesn't say for sure if they are at any of the CVS's or Walgreens near me. So I might have to order these on Amazon before Sunday's live watch party at Easy's Liquor Lounge. Is going to be me and Will Kunkel. $20 you can buy them for on Amazon. I guess it's hard to get them shipped quickly, but I saw on Amazon you are actually able to get them sent maybe next day delivery. This is crazy though. Let's even look this up. I'm going to take you guys behind the kimono. Let you see a little something. let's look this up. Smelling salts in Houston. Man, everything is just slow today. Apparently all my frames are dropping too. We're not having a great day as far as the technical side of things. Smelling salts in Houston. Okay. Nutrition Depot, Total Nutrition Heights, The Vitamin Shop. These are some places I could theoretically do it. Could probably buy it online. Look at some of these brands. Ward Bottled Insanity. Skullfuck. Smelling salts. Zone Dry Smelling salts. Oh, these all got hardo names. Zone Norse Blood Smelling salts. Saiyan salts. Okay, a little Dragon Ball Z one. Bear Down Smelling salts. Smelling salts 2-pack. Silver Bullet. Calm Balance Smelling salts. No one wants that. That sounds like some bullshit. Hype Dust. Oh my God, this is amazing. Raging Bull Smelling salts. Skull Smash Ammonia. Oh my God, some of the brands are fantastic. So smelling salts are available. Hell yeah, brother. I love that. So the Texans are drug addicts, or at least smelling salt addicts. We'll post this clip on YouTube so that you can watch it, because I'm seeing we're having a lot of issues with the frame rates and stuff. And it's been a rough day. We started this off, and there was a massive echo that started, and I don't know where it started from, but we got it taken care of. This is our third go-round trying to do the live stream, and of course, we're having more technical difficulties. Alas, earwax. Ryan Lost in Texas says, at least the Texans aren't getting all hopped up on gas station boner pills for the games. Back in the day, I did a skit. This is when I did not have a job. Let me see if I can find this. Paul Gallant baseball gas station boner pills. Nope. Well, there was a time where I basically did a version of the Mentos commercial. Let's see. Fine says video from 2019 where he is talking about baseball players using boner pills with the Mentos song in the background. Because back in the day, this was an issue in baseball, where there were baseball players who were taking boner pills to do a little bit better. I mean, goodness gracious. That's crazy. But the Texans are using smelling salts. Low-key drug addicts. If I do find it. If I do find it. We will 100% play it. In the meantime, a lot of people are asking me who it is that I'm going to root for on Sunday. For those who don't know, I grew up a Patriots fan. I was born in Hanover, Massachusetts. I lived in Hanover, Massachusetts until I was 14 years old. When I was 14, I moved from Massachusetts to St. Pete, Florida with my mom. This was back in, I want to say, 2003. So, as a young kid, I was a massive sports fan because I wasn't really allowed to do anything. I wasn't allowed to watch TV. I didn't have a video game console or anything like that. But for whatever reason, I really gravitated towards football. And the first years that I watched football heavily involved the New England Patriots. First year I remember watching a couple of games was the 1995 season. Didn't watch every game. The Patriots were 6-10 that season under Bill Parcells. But 1996, I vividly remember that year. I was 7 years old, and that season, the Patriots went 11-5 in the regular season and made it all the way to the Super Bowl 31, which they lost to the Green Bay Packers. From that year on, I was addicted to the New England Patriots. I was obsessed with Drew Bledsoe. I loved Ty Law and all these other great players in the late 90s. And Pete Carroll takes over in 97. That's the first year my dad and I got to go to Patriots games. We had season tickets at Foxborough Stadium. We split them, I think, with somebody else. We'd go to 4 games a year. And I was going to at least 4 games a season, 97, 98, 99, 2000, plus preseason games as well. I had so much fun. I would yell as loud as I possibly could while I was at these games, thinking that I was a part of the home field advantage. It was a great time. As I got a little bit older, I started to get a little more jaded. And after 2000, where they finished 5-11, I vividly remember going to Foxborough Stadium for the first game after September 11th, seeing Drew Bledsoe run to the sideline, getting hit by Mo Lewis, and turning to my dad in whatever section we were sitting in on those metal bleachers at Foxborough Stadium and telling my dad, well, the season's fucking over. 12 years old. Little did I know Tom Brady would step in, a guy who I'd enjoyed watching at Michigan but didn't really think much of. I was kind of mad, in fact, the preseason they had cut this guy named Michael Bishop, who I believe is now with the Houston Cougars, Kansas State legend who was super fast, super athletic, like a cool quarterback to have as your backup. First pass he ever threw was a Hail Mary touchdown pass to Tony Simmons against the Indianapolis Colts. Yeah, this is kind of how far back the knowledge goes. But from that point on, in a year where I went through a lot, my parents got divorced, my dad had cancer, this Patriots team, 0-2, with Tom Brady under center somehow, some way, finishes the season after a 5-5 start, winning out and winning the Super Bowl. And from that moment on, I was essentially the Peter of the Patriots. I was the prophet. 2002, they get the new stadium. We actually had full season tickets. I went to every single game. They go 9-7. They missed the playoffs. The Bucs won the Super Bowl that year. And right after this season's done and this year is done was when I moved down to Tampa Bay to go to high school. And the Buccaneers are the defending Super Bowl champions. And me, asshole that I am, masshole that you want to maybe call me, I show up and I start talking shit to everybody. You guys suck. The Bucs suck. What? They're the defending Super Bowl champions. This is a great way to make friends, by the way. I come down there and I'm telling them, and every time somebody brought up, guys blow. And even when they cut Lori Malloy and they get shut out 31-0 first game of the season, I'm like, nope, Patriots are the #1 team. And I remember all my chores that I did at my mom's house, they went towards me paying for NFL Sunday tickets so I could watch the Patriots games in the garage house that we lived in St. Pete, Florida. And guess what? Patriots won the Super Bowl that year. And then they won the Super Bowl the next year. And because of my psychotic zealotry, basically jihad online for the Patriots, I became known as the sports expert in my school, specifically the NFL expert. None of my takes had any basis in really fact. It was just a divine belief, a dogma that the Patriots were the best. And by the way, that held true for such a long time. And now as I get further and further removed from it, I realize, one, how lucky I was to have had parents that banged, shaboinked in the greater New England area. Like, that was a big part of it. Like, if I'd been born anywhere else, I mean, I might be miserable. I might not even be the NFL fan that I am today. But this rambling mess aside.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
I have now lived in Houston for almost as long as I grew up in Massachusetts. We are, I believe, in year 13 for me in Houston after 14 plus years in Massachusetts. And I've spent like so much time covering the Texans. I've probably in my life watched more Houston Texans football than I've watched Patriots football now. Truly, I mean, I have been to just about every single game at NRG Stadium, 2011 through 2019, 2021 through this past season, less games this season. Like, I've been to NRG Stadium to cover Texans games over 100 times. It's something I don't take for granted. And I have found that over time, the more and more that I watch the Texans and cover the Texans, that like I want to see them do well. I don't know if it makes me a fan per se, but professionally, it's good for me for the Texans to do well. I want them to advance to the AFC Championship game, and I hope that the Bills win so that they'll play that AFC Championship game at home, because that means I get to go back out there and interview players potentially. Though we're going to have to probably dot some I's and cross some T's on that front, because I'm sure there's going to be a ton of media at this AFC Championship game, and it's never happened for the Houston Texans. But this is a possibility. So professionally, it would be great for me if the Texans won. So my head is rooting for the Texans to win. My heart still thinks that the Patriots are a massive part of my identity, who I am. I would commit a jihad for Tom Brady at the very least. But I'm going to take you back in time, and I know I'm rambling.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
Back in 2018, first game of the year, there was a Texans-Patriots game. I had just gotten moved up to Morning Drive, and knowing what this sports town is, where it's a little bandwagony, I have no issues with it, no judgment with it. I accept it as what it is. But while I'm there, I'm realizing, goddamn, like I'm mad that the Texans are pissing this game away. I am more mad that the Texans are screwing this up than I'm happy that the Patriots are winning this game. And I felt that for a lot of the game, and part of it's professional because I'm like, oh man, no one's going to want to tune into the radio show tomorrow. Oh God, is this team about to go back to being semi-irrelevant here? And I mean, that year, after an 0-3 start, they won 9 games in a row. And I remember, for the diehard Texans fans, they were excited about it. But for people that were casual Texans fans, a lot of them were poo-pooing it. Like, who have they beaten? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, 9-game winning streak. That's really hard to do. Very few teams do that. You know, the Texans have surpassed that winning streak with the win over the Steelers. But I remember that moment. And I think that's one of the first moments where I wasn't 100% sure that if the Texans played the Patriots in an important game, who I would pull for next time around, especially if all the heroes of my childhood are no longer playing for the Patriots. And now Tom Brady's out. So I say all that.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
I'll be honest. I don't think I'm going to know who I'm rooting for on Sunday until the game begins. And I mean, obviously I've got a lot of friends from Massachusetts that I still talk with. Me and my dad still talk regularly about the Patriots, you know? But I think when this game starts, I'm not going to know who I want. I think I'm going to want for it to be a good game. I know I will be, if the Texans like really stink, I'll be more mad about the Texans stinking or playing poorly than I would be mad about a Patriots loss. I don't think I'll be that mad if the Patriots lose. I'm excited that Mike Vrabel and Drake May have this team on the right track. If the Texans beat the Patriots in the playoffs, maybe next year I'm going to be a little bit more, all right, I want the Patriots to get this thing done. But I have a feeling that I am going to be leaning a very specific way this weekend. A very specific way. So, guys, prepare for a dramatic reveal. Okay? We're going to stand by for just a moment. So, bear with me. We want to keep this PG, everybody. Okay? This is elevator hold music. We are now about to go back. Hey, everybody, here we are. I am definitely rooting for the Seattle Seahawks this weekend. Covered them for a couple of years. I know I am rooting for the Seahawks this weekend. And that's really all I got. I'm going to find out who I'm rooting for in the middle of the game. I wish I knew now. I guess you're going to have to go and join me at Easy's Liquor Lounge in the Heights to watch Texans Patriots. It's the best place to watch football on the weekends, guys. That it is. That's going to wrap up today's edition of the Gallant Says podcast. We've had so many technical difficulties today, and it seems like we are having more technical difficulties right now. But I appreciate you bearing with me. This is the third time that we tried to start the show. And hopefully this one was up to standards that you were looking for. Yes, that's right. This is the Seahawks shirt, TikTokers. This is it. Please, if you haven't already, like this video and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, or do it on Twitch at Gallant Says. I'm on Facebook too, at Paul Gallant Sports, Instagram at Sports Gallant, X at Gallant Says Pod. We're probably going to put together some sort of hacky, absolutely terrible slop later today. That's going to get a lot of clicks because it's fun. And it's our little inside joke that we're putting this shit together, but we don't necessarily like actually feel outraged about it. It's available after the fact in podcast form, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We will be posting the entirety of the podcast today. Hopefully the audio sounds well because we had so many technical difficulties with the actual live stream and some drop frames and all that stuff. But I appreciate everybody who stopped by today. Until Sunday, so long, farewell.
Farewell and adieu to you fair Spanish ladies. Farewell and adieu, you ladies of Spain.
And have yourselves a wonderful